Okay. Islam. Mr. Elon Musk. Islam. Um, this is going to be part two. I just wanted to also speak to you about certain other things I know that um, I wanted to like convey to you because you are you deal with space, the cosmos. So I want to. I'm Ron Arrington-Bey again. I'm a naturalized Moor. I live in a domicile in Annapolis, Maryland. This is I just got off work not too long ago, and I was trying to keep my composure because but I'll get to why. And now after taking off my clothes, my skin is itchy, and I so anyway, so I um I domicile at formerly Extended Stay America. Now it's called Amber Suites. So I'm scratching a little bit here, but it's not too bad. So yeah. Even just by me coming in here, I'm hearing feedback in the room. Um, Mr. Elon Musk, I'm 50 years old. I was born in 1973 um, in North Carolina, Durham, North Carolina. But um, after my mother had a nervous breakdown and then later was missing, well, after she had a nervous breakdown, that's what they diagnosed her with. Um, her name was Aranda Lucinda Bowie. Aranda, my name is Rhonda Renee Arrington-Bey. Her name was Aranda Lucinda Bowie. After they diagnosed her with mental illnesses, schizophrenia, they removed me, or before they diagnosed her, they removed me and my sister from her care. Her and my father got a divorce around when I was around the age of 7. And around after that, I stayed with my mother. Then after that, around the age of 9, I went to go, or yeah, about 9, I went to go stay with my dad because they diagnosed her with schizophrenia. Um, before that, before they diagnosed her, I went to go live with me and my sister went to go live with my dad, and he took us to um, the country where we Hillsboro. Now, before that happened, my mother had her own business and so forth, and she was prosperous with my father before they divorced. I was told they were considered very, very, very prosperous. I just remember living in a nice sized house and so forth, and she had her own business. My father had his own business, and plus he worked for a computer company. So, um, and they had me and my sister, but for whatever reason, um, there was an energy that came between them that separated them. And I apologize once again. My skin is itching. When I came in here, I heard a lot of feedback of Spanish male accent. Same Spanish male accent. Sometimes it definitely sound like they from. They have like that Mexican accent possibly, and from maybe El Salvador or even other parts of South America, and then the African American Black Negro, male and female accent. Definitely feedback in the room. So okay, so I'm gonna get to my mother being diagnosed with schizophrenia. So when I looked up schizophrenia, that's when you have different personalities, and there's different forms of schizophrenia. So um, my mother, I was my I Ron Arrington-Bey and my sister were taken away from my mother, and then I stayed with my dad, and I couldn't see my mother. Um, I went to go stay with my dad at around 9 years old, and I couldn't see my mom. They told me that my dad told me that she wasn't well enough for me to see. I remember when I would try to call her, it was as though she didn't know who I was. And they put her in a mental institution, and there's no telling what um, she experienced in the mental institution. Before she so-called was diagnosed with schizophrenia, she was living in her and my dad was considered one of the most prosperous African Americans in Durham, North Carolina. The power couple. I never heard her speak about spirituality. They did speak in tongues, like after I remember seeing them speak in tongues after the divorce. But never tongues is when a group of women come together and like they seem to go into a spiritual zone. I did see that happen both with her and some other women, but I didn't know what they were doing. Tell you the truth, then I didn't know how they were, what they were feeling. I did see that. I saw that a few times, but I didn't know how. I was very, very, very young. So okay, I was 7. So I don't think now I can't say if my mother knew what she was what she was among. So whatever spiritual, I think she definitely, because of this tongue speaking in tongues, she definitely was aware of a spiritual realm. Okay, because that is dealing with tones and vibrations and frequency. But as for being among African American blacks that were not like her, that can be definitely attach themselves mentally within her mind, male and female, and cause mental illnesses. I don't think she knew. I don't think she knew the danger she was among. I really don't. And to possibly realize or know that the devil looked like her, well dressed African American black female women or female well dressed African American males. Because Durham, North Carolina was a thriving city. It was still considered country, but compared to where my grandmother stayed and where my father moved us to, it was considered a city. And there and to be one of the thriving couples in Durham, North Carolina, my father and her, I'm pretty sure there were there were some unclean spirits that needed to separate and destroy. These are two Moors coming together. They have come together and they're building financially. I remember I remember hearing them say we were one of the only, at the time the status was blacks to move into a almost all predominantly all pale, oh well, white. The word was white, all white neighborhood. And that's what I remember. And then also I remember that's where the divorce happened. So I don't know. I just really don't think my mother knew or could comprehend the unclean, unnatural spirits that she was among that were in bodies of African American blacks, Negroes. Same. It means all the same in reference to constitutional law, but in this description, because she was out of status too. She was considered African American black Negro. Me too. But to not be in that state of mind and have that unclean spirit, I don't think my mother knew. But that which knew who they were and what they were supposed to be doing, they preyed on her, and not just her, but others like her. So I went to go stay with my father, okay? And after that, about 2 years, around 10 years old, I was allowed to see my mother. And then soon after that, she became missing. And they said that they didn't know where she was. They thought she ran away. They thought she left and so forth. And then when I was around 16 years old, I got a call from a detective, and he just told me on the phone my father was in the bed. He said that they found remains in this my mom when I was 16 years old. So okay, so I wanted to give you that story to give you insight of the connection of being among unclean spirits that can go back through the years, that are African American, Black, Negro, those that speak Spanish from South Central America, Mexico, pale skin, and others that are connected to United States military, Navy, and Army, and other forms of those branches, connected to the satellite, the TV, and replay images or send thoughts of what happened, because they had cameras even then. They had AI robots, birds that weren't really birds, taking pictures, cameras even then. So they know what happened to my mother. And so Imani and I, Imani Gray Bay and I, that's my son, we choose to reject the telepathic code. We don't want to have a telepathic code. We want to evolve naturally. Not just because of that, because instinctively I knew, once I found out about it, that it was not, that something was very odd and unnatural, and it gave too much control and too much not known knowledge of the energy within the code to whoever distributing it. Just the word code was enough. Even though those that it was distributed to probably didn't see it that way at first. And plus, if they having babies and they're injecting the babies with it, the fetuses, they have children with it, and the children's like, I was born with it. But they see something that's different with these kids than the kids that were born 45 years ago that never had the code. They see something very different, and it's not a good thing. The difference is not good. So I'm going to get back to being among a world where I know that the unnaturalized military has distributed a code to masses of people. And getting back before the distribution of the code, how that which was either in the military or other science branches, maybe foreigners, whatever, were manipulating thoughts, emotions through the radio and the TV. Because this is going to bring, I'm going to just spend a few moments because it's going to bring me up to date to being among African American, Black, Negro males that are not human, and females. They are literally an animal beast state of mind, because they existed then too when my mother was alive, and they exist now. Some of them are in the United States military and veterans. Not all. And some of them are just average citizens, male and female. And they were used to cause dis-ease within the mind, emotions, engage, manipulate dreams. They were used then and they are used now. Molest children. Why they came up with these Barbie dolls, Ken and Barbie. And why, I know for me, playing mommy and daddy was like something we're not supposed to do. But we definitely played it. I mean, we didn't penetrate, but we played mommy and daddy. So there were unclean spirits manipulating us as children, manipulating many as children, and some probably were in some form of penetration. Who knows? They might have kissed. Who knows? Who knows? But the same unclean, unnatural spirits that I am speaking about now in Annapolis, they existed then. So what I found odd, when I came to Annapolis, now I'm going to be completely honest with you, Mr. Elon Musk. I'm being completely honest. When I was in New York for a short while, yes, I thought something odd about some of the children or whatever. I experienced some things. But to know that it was on the mass level that it was on, I didn't know. And when I came across African Americans, I would say the biggest experience was applying for food stamps in New York and watching the game. I didn't know I didn't know what was going on, but listening to them talk, and it's like they were creating a reality of some sort, as communication with food stamps. I don't know. I was just trying to get food stamps so we can eat, because I was there to implement what I was experiencing mentally of seeing Sheik Dwayne Battlefield Bay, because he was my first and only experience in his sacred mental growth. Willingly. I never experienced anything like it before, but I knew it was real and it was true. I knew. But I still had so much doubt sometimes. Because not between him and I, but just not doubt going to see him, because the risk I took to go see him, it was no doubt. But it was more sorrow, because I wanted to be with him so bad. So not so bad, but so much. I wanted to just be with him on a physical plane. That was my state of mind then. So I wanted to be with him so much. And I started to feel sorrow, because it's like I couldn't articulate it, because this was mentally. And those that were Moors knew what was going on when I went to the temple, and implied that they knew what was going on. Sometimes they can easily switch back and demonstrate possibly I wasn't mentally sane. Because in the mental growth, unless, you have the spiritual eye, the code, or the spiritual eye, you cannot see. So the cameras can't pick up, as far as I know, in the mental growth. So those that were sheiks and sheikesses who were adept in mentalism and knew how to go back and forth and communicate on the physical plane, or if they choose to mental, knew how to articulate and go back and forth, whether looking at me and saying words and demonstrating that I am sane, or saying You're not something. Now, who? Why do you think you know Sheik Dwayne Byfield Bay? What makes you think you know Sheik Dwayne Byfield Bay? Are you? Let me write this letter. Something's wrong with her. So I felt sorrowful, for because I wasn't um adapt and articulating in the spiritual world and mentalism, and also that experience with my mother weighed on me through the years. It weighed on me so much, especially when my consciousness changed. When my consciousness changed, um, to make a long story short, I was lying on the couch. Imani and Abbas, my second son is named Abbas Malik Bey. I was lying his father's from Senegal. I was lying on the couch, and I had a very extreme lucid dream. A woman appeared to me, and excuse me, I almost feel like I got to sneeze. And looked similar to me, but she did not speak a word. She looked at me very serious, like this, and she just wanted me. I could tell she just wanted me to look at her. So I did, but she was, I mean, didn't smile. She just looked at me, serious. And then she put up her fingers, and because she put up her fingers, I followed her fingers. And then she threw her hands in the air, and I looked up. I followed her fingers. I looked up, and a black dot came down. And anyway, I took a deep breath, and my children, they were like, "Mom, are you okay?" And because I was still, I'm thinking I'm still asleep, but they heard I took the breath so on the physical plane. I was like like this, and they were like, Mom." I was like, I'm well, and I'm okay. And I didn't say well. I said I'm okay. I said this before, and I said I'm okay, and I closed my eyes again, or I don't even know if I opened them. I might glance. I think I might have just did like this, but I just went back to I was, and then I was still in a mental dream that was lucid. And I was, at first I felt scared to even open my eyes in the dream, but I did, and I saw these white fumes all around me, and everything changed for me. This is around 2010, approximately about 2010. I always say 2010. I think pretty much 2011. It's been a while, but about 2010, and that's when I started to make I started to go to the magic shops, the esoteric shops, and buy herbs and incense, and get Egyptian books and occult books and spiritual books, Yoruba and so forth, and listen to more. I started to seek out nationality and so forth. So anyway, when I was trying to tell my aunt about certain things that, especially with national, actually it was more becoming more. She would bring up my mom sometimes. I don't know if she was doing it on purpose or maybe she was being manipulated, and it was just very difficult for me because it was definitely like it seemed like African Americans had a program in my family to not be a Moor, to not be who we are as Moors. And definitely there it seemed as though there are a species of black Negroes, African Americans, that are set in place, male and female, to keep Moors who have the potential to raise their frequency and implement their covenants from doing so. And that's who we are among here in Annapolis and in Maryland. And definitely those that are connected to, I would say, Moors who have betrayed their covenants to the Most High, being ally and friends with blacks, African American, a species that they know that was created for one reason: to kill and destroy that sacred line. male and female. Not just them. There's others, but I'm getting to why I'm saying them. Here, a lot of them say the word brother. Not saying everyone that says brother is a part of that, what I just said, or that is unclean, unnatural, a species of an animal, a beast, lab, freak, AI. But I'm saying that, yes, too many are. And they are overjoyed to speak about how and demonstrate some connection to Moors who's supposed to be lawful and uphold our flag, which represents love, true peace, freedom, and justice. And some of them seem to be or imply to be connected to the United States military, Navy, Army, and possibly the police and other forms of different forms of educational branches. Education. They're educated black Negroes. Suppose that form of education. But beyond that education, they're animals and beasts. So I struggled with demonstrating and articulating the mental plane, especially when it came to Sheep the Wing by Bey and I. I struggled. It was so hard, and it was so heartbreaking for me, going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I left New York thinking that it was over between Sheik Dwayne Bey. I even told the National Grand Sheik, Joe Brat Bey, I said, we're done. I said, I'm done. I'm leaving New York. And then we're over. And, that was it. And I asked, could I come here to Maryland? He was like, yes. And so I got here to Maryland. I chose Annapolis, came to Annapolis. I definitely was done. But then I started to experience visuals from old images, old energies of those that I would see. I apologize. Like I said, I just got off work not too long ago. But those that I would see when I would be in the Sacred Mental Grove, there was a old man. He used to be all in white, and so I apologize, Mr. Elon Musk. He used to be all in white, and I consider him as an elder, and he told me, after I leave New York, don't ever come back to the Sacred Grove again, and I didn't. I didn't know that mental possession could be the goal of black Negro animals, species of black Negroes, those that like to say brother. These males that send forth sharp pains to try to subjugate. I can't tell you, Mr. Elon Musk, how many times I experienced forced sharp pains while black Negro males looking at me. Look to be around my age, 45, 50, as though and then I hear them say brother, as though they're trying to force me to engage with them. And that's exactly what they're doing. Here in Annapolis, I've experienced this. And then the females, or they do this, say 3, and I might feel a sharp pain in my vagina. Imani and I'm going to stop there and go to the next video.